mighty turning!
Hi again everyone, I hope you're all doing really well. This is an update on a stock that I was asked to take a bit of a look at, that being Carnival Cruise Lines, ticker symbol CCL. So this is an interesting stock to look at because it is a pure play travel and tourism company that has global operations, and like many other tourism related companies, experienced a lot of pain courtesy of lockdowns brought on by the pandemic. A lot of traders tried to buy the stock near the bottom of the fallout of the 2020 dip in the hope of seeing a strong return to the stock, which if they had been holding for the past 18 months now, they would have fared somewhat well, with the stock value basically tripling from its low point. What I want to do in this video is to take a dive into some of the technical trading data around the stock, as well as a very interesting news cycle that has plagued not just Carnival Cruises but the wider cruising industry, and give some thoughts for where the company is heading now and whether or not it is still a good opportunity to get into Carnival Cruise stock. I think it's an interesting time to look at the stock because it was just recently reported that a COVID related death has been associated with a Carnival Cruise, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of impact this has on overall sentiment for the stock. But before I do that, I want to quickly remind you viewers here that I am planning on setting my channel up as a social enterprise going forward, meaning that I want to use the money raised from YouTube advertising to support a range of good causes that I feel passionate about. I'm sure many others out there do as well. I think it's a unique way to make a difference. Rather than people donating money, people are supporting the causes simply by watching videos like this one. So I want to encourage people to sign up to the channel and support this unique initiative. We are getting closer to that 1,000 sub mark now, so thank you to everyone who has joined up so far. And if you haven't, this is a great opportunity to do so. With that out of the way, let's get into this Carnival Cruises update. So just using this Google chart really quickly for a bit of perspective, before the shutdowns, Carnival Cruise stock was valued at $51.89. The stock recorded its record high price early in 2018, that being just above the $71 mark, and during the big pandemic sell-off last year, the stock dropped to as low as an intraday low of $8 per stock. Given the current stock valuation of $24.11, had you managed to buy the dip at the very bottom and were still holding your stock today, you would have done fairly well. So looking at this 2-hour chart stretching back to the second half of 2020, we can see that Carnival Cruise Company has been going on a strong recovery rally. The jumps in price almost perfectly correspond with approval of COVID vaccines and the ending of lockdown in the lead up to the Northern Hemisphere summer, where the company would traditionally do the bulk of their business. So there was an almost perfect storm brewing for Carnival Cruise Company, emphasis on the almost perfect. As the summer progressed and much of the Northern Hemisphere opened back up, Carnival stock has almost faltered and failed to continue to raise much more, and has in fact dropped away in recent trade. This all despite a general upward trend that has occurred in the tourism and travel industry in this period. So what has been impacting the stock price and stopping further growth for the company? Well, notwithstanding a broader hesitancy to not engage in holiday cruises due to the high risk profile these settings have received since the start of the pandemic. If you think back, it was only just over a year ago where there were headlines all over the world of various cruise line crews stranded at sea due to high numbers of infections on the ships. Since the industry has been able to reopen, they have faced a number of other barriers, particularly from the Centre for Disease Control and Prevention, or CDC. The CDC has had official advice to avoid cruises in general. However, perhaps as a bit of a blow to the Carnival and the cruise industry, while they have since updated travel and cruise advice for being okay for fully vaccinated people, the CDC has particularly targeted a number of key demographics for which cruise holiday options are a popular choice, in saying that they should avoid cruises even if they are fully vaccinated. So the combination of poor CDC advice as well as weakened consumer attitudes has not allowed Carnival Cruises to have the bounce back in sales that they were hoping for. It would seem the recovery of sales for the company have again been pushed further down the line, perhaps till next year. Aside from the CDC, as you can see on the screen, other recent headlines for the company have been quite mixed, and I think this casts a bit of a sense of stagnation about the stock and the cruise industry in general. Positive news with cruises returning to California is a bit of a highlight for the company. However, then you have further news around vaccination compliance, which could prevent passengers joining a cruise through the requirements of being fully vaccinated. And then of course we have yesterday's really sad and unfortunate news of a passenger dying after catching COVID on a Carnival cruise. It just paints a picture of the stock being faced with a very mixed environment, and it is hard to be immediately optimistic about the stock. Switching back to an hourly chart, we can see that there is a recovering trend following the stock's recent sharp fall from the $30 mark. There is a slow but steady trend occurring where we are seeing a series of higher highs and higher lows for the stock. The higher lows seem to be occurring at a greater rate, which to me would suggest there is quite a bit of stability forming for the stock, and that lower price bound of $20 represents a strong degree of price stability. The price movements have been somewhat normal and are not leading to any general trading conditions that would suggest a breakout in either direction at this stage is imminent. Based on the most recent movements within the trend lines I have added to the chart and the oversold state for the stock according to the RSI, we are perhaps likely to see a bit of a decline coming for Carnival Cruises in the immediate future, all things holding normal. This could mean that there is a potential for a buying point around the $22 mark if you are long on the stock or looking for the swing trade. So despite the headwinds Carnival has been facing, the outlook for the stock is still quite good. Of the 18 brokers covering the stock, there is a bullish buy sentiment. Also, the stock no longer has a high short interest. This is significant because the stock has appeared many times in the list of most shorted stocks in the past 18 months, but now has less than 8% of the total float held in short positions. So anything above 10% is considered highly shorted, so it is back in a normal sort of shorting range. In terms of revenue, it will be interesting to see what comes out of their end of year results during November. We can see how heavily affected 2020 was, where the summer cruise season was very heavily impacted compared to previous years. Looking at patterns in the interim income statement for the company, the first positive sign to look for going forward will be what numbers Carnival Cruises publishes in their August quarter results. But based on how the most recent May results stacked up on a year-on-year basis, things did not bode well for the company, only doing $50 million in revenue versus $740 million in 2020, which was the last quarter that the cruise industry may have had a somewhat pre-pandemic trading activity about it. The company's important August quarter data will be much anticipated, as this is historically the company's strongest quarter as it catches much of the Northern Hemisphere's summer revenue. Flipping over to the interim balance sheet, we have seen a continual decline of the tangible book value of the stock. At the same time, there has been a continual significant growth in the total common shares outstanding. Now, this would be due to several equity raisings the company has undertaken to shore up cash and keep the business afloat during these times of severely restricted operations, as well as a continued burning of that cash by the company to maintain their expensive fleet while at the same time basically making next to no income. To me, these equity raisings will definitely be having a dilution effect, as the collective assets of the company need to now be spread among a much broader number of shares, which then makes me think the idea of the stock recovering to its pre-pandemic price level above $50 a stock is not something that's going to likely be achieved anytime soon. As you can see, based on the total common shares outstanding last May compared to where they were in the most recent May results, there's almost 50% more shares outstanding for the company. So in terms of final thoughts for Carnival Cruises, while I don't have a crystal ball, I would be expecting a continued return in revenue for the company moving forward, as you would hope conditions around the pandemic are going to improve. However, in saying that, it is really hard to say what is going to happen in this space. On the one hand, the world and much of the key customer demographics of cruise liners are increasingly getting vaccinated. However, on the other hand, this current Delta outbreak of the virus seems to be causing increasing concern around the world. Also, given the changes that have been implemented because of COVID, will there be some sort of legacy impact on cruise liners, perhaps in the sense of capacity limits due to social distancing? While the stock has established a bit of a trading range at the moment, upcoming financial data for the August quarter are going to provide a true insight into how the company's recovery has been going. I don't conceivably see the stock recovering to its pre-pandemic levels anytime soon, as the company has undergone several equity raisings at heavily discounted stock price levels. There are basically 50% more shares available than there were pre-pandemic. So I think there's definitely going to be some sort of dilution effect here. With that all said, I think there's still further room for recovery in the stock price in the future, and I think there is a scenario in the distant future where there could be a period of real boom for cruise businesses as pent-up demand for relaxing holidays in a post-COVID world will be unleashed in great numbers. But that is when the world is seeing itself as being truly post-COVID, something I don't think it really has quite come to grips with despite increasing levels of vaccinations. Anyway, what do you guys think about Carnival Cruises? Do you think there is much upward growth potential for the stock at the moment? Will we start to see the post-COVID turnaround in the company's August results? Let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to see more stock related updates, I encourage you to subscribe to the channel. Like I said at the start, by doing so you're helping to support the social enterprise I'm hoping to turn the channel into the near future, where just by watching videos people are helping to make a difference to some good causes. It's the idea of using the power of YouTube for a social good, so join up and be a part of all that. Anyway, until next time guys, may the markets trade in your favour. Cheers.